If you're first tuning into the channel, I really appreciate it. We are doing a golf cart build. If you haven't watched the last video, you might want to check it out. This is a golf cart that has a big red 3-wheeler motor. And good news, we have our rebuild kit. In the last video, we took this for a drive and it was smoking like an old freight train. So we're going to pull this top end apart and we're going to see if we can throw some rings in it. Hopefully that'll take care of it and we don't have to do anything with the valves or the head or any of that. So that's what we're going to do today. First thing we got to do is get this shifter unhooked right here. Hoping you guys can see that. The shifter does not work very good. We're going to do a whole new shifter actually is what we're probably going to end up doing. Get us one that's a little more functional, user friendly if you will. Just to say that. Go ahead and unplug this. And after we get the head off, we'll probably have to cut this shifter off because they've completely welded it on here. And there's no way to get it off right now other than to grind it off. And I'm going to wait till we get the head off to do that. So now that that's unhooked, we got to get rid of this carburetor, our fuel line. I'm hoping I can do the shove a bolt in it trick. If we can do it just right. Bring it up higher than the tank. The fuel tank's just right back there. You guys can't see it, but we can shove this bolt in here like so. And we can slide this up. Tighten it on there, and that's going to just ease my mind a little bit that maybe we won't leak it all out. Maybe just set it up here. Something like that for now. Let's get this carb out of our way. All right, I got the carburetor loose. Ready to slide it out of there. I think our best bet is just to set it off to the side. Maybe even right there might work. Next, we got a bunch of bolts we're going to have to take off here to get this top head off. And we'll do the right thing. Just set the bolts aside. Oh. Boy, that one's not wanting to go. I guess it helps if you get on there good, right? Okay. So we have to get a wrench for a couple of these. Then we got some bigger ones we're going to have to get out. We are going to have to remove this oil feeder line here. It's not a big deal. We'll probably leak a little oil. If we didn't, that would be bad. Because that would mean there is oil coming out, which is good. If we didn't, then that would mean there's no oil getting to the head. And that's not good. So we got a few more here. Okay, a couple more with the wrench. And we'll have this top part off. We're going to work our way right down to that piston. Hopefully that piston looks okay. If it doesn't look okay, then we're going to have to take further steps. Maybe order a piston. Okay, if you take these caps off, you can actually get to the other bolts. That's a good thing. Okay, turns out I can get a socket on there. You just got to have the right one, that's all. So no biggie. I'm going to get this last bolt out and we're going to see how that cam looks. Okay, here we go. Now we can pop this head off. I think, oh no, we got one more. Of course. Okay, one more, guys, one more. All right, are you guys ready? We'll see if we can see what this cam looks like now. Should be ready to pop off of there, I think. Although it seems a little stuck. There it goes. Just needed a little bit of a love tap, that's all. There we go. Okay, and there's the rocker arms. They stay in the head. There's our cam. Let me bring you guys in and show you what I see. It doesn't look Doesn't look too bad to me. A little bit of wear, but we'll bring you in and let you guys take a look. I see a little bit of wear through here. That's to be expected, but it's got plenty of oil up in there, which is good. So I'm glad about that. When we get this apart, we'll check our cam guides. The chain seems tight, so that's a plus. So I think I'll probably stop there for tonight. All right, guys, it's been a couple days, and I'm gonna see if we can get this. We gotta get this cam out and get this head off of here. The best way that I found to do that is just use a zip gun, because it's gonna want to turn over. Give it a quick hit, and it'll usually break it loose without turning it over. And we want to be careful. We don't want our timing chain to fall all the way down in there. What I like to do is I'll take a zip tie and put it around the chain, or a coat hanger, or just something to hold the chain up so it doesn't fall, all the way down in the head. Okay, I couldn't find a zip tie, but I found some banding wire. I tied it around the link here. That should hopefully take care of it. Now we can pull this chain off like so. Just kind of let it sit there. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And we need to get our cam out. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. Okay, we got that little seal out. That just sits on the other end of the cam there. Did not anticipate this being this hard. Really thought I could just pop it right out. Instead, I seem to have jammed it in there. I spin it maybe. Here we go. Okay, that's what we were hoping for. Now we don't want our gear to fall down in there. We gotta get that out. We're gonna set it right back on the cam. We're gonna toss our bolts right back in there. This gear has to go, the dots have to go, I'll show you in a second here. It's got 2 lines on it for timing. You want to make sure those face that way toward the cylinder. We're going to wrap this up in a rag, because we don't want it getting messed up. We're just going to set it aside for now. Try and put it somewhere semi-safe. Okay, so far so good. So we can still get our chain out, see, just like this. It's going to be a little tricky. Got to get this exhaust off. It's only 2 bolts, not a big deal. I think we'll tackle that next. Okay, we got our exhaust off. It's fairly easy. It's just 2 bolts up there. Now we're gonna have to get all our head bolts off here. Hopefully that shouldn't be too bad. Let's see what size they are. It looks like they are going to be a 14 millimeter. We're gonna hit them with the zip gun just to try to make things easier. Oh, I guess these ones are bigger. Oh no, the ones inside there are Allen's, that's right. We got 2 more here though. I'm gonna set a rag right here, just to help make sure we don't drop either one of these down in there and down in the no man's land. Where we would have to take the whole motor apart to get them out. That would not be fun. So there's one. This one's still a little tight. And I can't quite get a hold of it, so we're gonna have to do that old socket trick. And we'll pull it out that way. Now we got 2 over here. And 1 more. We got 4 Allen's on top to get out, which I'm going to have to find us out. Oh, no, I guess there's just 3. I'm sorry. Then I think I have to take that timing tensioner off, and we should be ready to pull the cylinder up. Okay, we got to get these 4 Allen's out. I went ahead and broke them loose with a torque wrench because they're really tight. So if you do this, I would suggest a torque wrench. Still pretty tight on that one. To get them broke loose so you don't strip them. Once you strip them, man, you're in trouble. Now, once we get these out, we should be, other than a Couple little bolts over here. And I think that's it. Should be ready to pull the head off, see what our piston looks like. So you guys might want to see that. Should be interesting. Now these Allens right here have a seal washer on them, little copper guy. Make sure you get those out of there. You don't want to lose them. I guess it might be, yeah, copper maybe. I don't know. But whatever. Either way, you want to make sure you put those back on. These are all the same length, so you can't mix them up. So good news there. We got a couple more bolts down below that we got to get out. And then we are going to be good to go. There's 2 bolts over here. They're little 8 mils. Those ones aren't too tight, luckily. Okay, we should be ready to slide it off. It's a little bit tight, don't get me wrong. I actually was planning on taking them off separately, but for some reason they're wanting to come together. I don't know why. Oh, there it's separating. Maybe I can get them to separate. It might be easier. There we go. So we'll pull this one first. Keep our string. This one's got a lot of oil in it, so I'm gonna be careful of that. Dump it in our oil thing over here. Now we should be able to, this piston should slide right out of here. I don't know what it's, oh, there we go. The guide was holding it. Show you guys the cylinder. Cylinder doesn't look too bad. We'll give it a good hone. I don't see any major scratches or grooves, which is good. I'm excited about that. Let's take a look at the piston. It's like the oil ring was not very great to me. So I think we'll stop. I think we're gonna have to stop there for today. My boy's got a soccer game. I'm gonna go watch him play some soccer and see how he does. Stay tuned. We're gonna put some rings on that piston. Okay guys, it's the next day. We're back and we're gonna go ahead and put our rings on. But we do have to turn this thing over. So we want to get our piston at the top. We got to be careful. If that piston goes down with that one-way bearing, we're not going to get it to... It won't turn backwards, this motor. So we are going to stuff a rag in here just to stop anything from going down in there, for one. We're going to get these old rings off. Fairly simple stuff. You just gotta get a hold of them here with the piston on. But you just kind of grab one end, get it up, and slide it around. It'll pop right off for you. This was our top ring. We'll just set that aside. We're gonna work our way down. Here's our next one. It's gonna be a little bit of a stretch on this one. Not too bad. There's the next one. Now the oil rings, which are the ones that I suspect were the worst. And they are pretty much falling right off. So yeah, I'm going to say those were definitely bad. Letting oil right on past everything. That's my guess. We're hoping that that's the problem. I'm pretty sure it is. So let's grab our new rings. We'll get them slid into place. I wanted to show you guys something on these new rings compared to the old ones. If you're questioning whether your rings are bad and you have them out, you can do a comparison, and sometimes it'll help tell you. But I mean, look at this. This is our original ring. Look at the gap, the end gap on that. We'll set it next to our new one. See the difference here compared to there? I'm going to definitely say this ring was bad. And here's our other new rings, which is kind of nice. They label them. It says top. I don't know if focus, come on. Well, it's not wanting to focus on that very well. So you're gonna have to believe me. It says top, that means this ends up, and then it says a second over there, which means that's the second ring down. This one says first, and the other ones are obvious. Thought I'd just share that with you guys. Now we'll go ahead and slide our oil ring in. Just like that. It's going to be a little tougher this time, but not a big deal. And you don't want to put these, you want to make sure your gaps are in different places, because you'll lose compression if you put them all in the same spot. Okay, there's that one. That's much tighter than the old one, which is nice. And the reason you have to put this center oil ring in first is there's a little ridge on it on the inside that won't let you get those other rings past. So keep that in mind if you're doing this. This says the first ring, so you need to go to the second ring. That's this one. Fits in there good. Not a bad idea to check that. These ones are going to be a little tighter, a little tougher to do, but that's okay. Just do a little at a time and you'll get through it. Just slowly get it down in there. And go first one, second one, and boom. Now that ring's in. Much better, way tighter than the old ones, the originals. I'm going to definitely say this is why this thing was smoking. Then we got this one, and you got to make sure your writing's pointing up. Now we got our gap here, right here on this one. So we're going to put our gap completely on the other side so we don't lose any compression. And you're just going to roll it around the piston. It's real simple. It's not hard stuff. There, that looks good. I like it. Now we're going to get this bottom cleaned off. Then we're going to slide our cylinder back on there. But before we do that, we're going to need to give that cylinder a hone. A quick hone out just to make sure these rings set good. If you don't hone them, then sometimes those rings, they're going to have a hard time seating. And we don't want that. And in that cylinder, I couldn't see any crosshatch. I'm going to show you guys something I noticed on this head. There is a lot of carbon buildup. And the camera doesn't even do it justice. It's got a lot on there. So we are going to get that cleaned up right now. So I'm hoping this might not be the best way to do it. I might get some comments. But what we're going to do is we're going to wire wheel it off. And it's going to get the carbon off for us. Just going real light is all we're doing. Not a lot of pressure, just lightly skimming across it. We don't want to tear into it. We're just taking a little bit off the top is all we're doing. Okay, some of that's pretty hard to get off. But I'm going to say we got most of it. I think it's going to be good enough. So let me bring you guys in. We'll clean this off a little bit. This we're going to get with a razor blade. I don't really want to wire wheel that. I did hit it a little bit, but that was by accident. The little bit I hit it was not on purpose up on the machined area. I was trying not to hit up here, but as you can see, I caught it a little bit, but I'm going to say that looks 100 times better. Much better. I'm very happy with that. We're gonna go with that. We're gonna try. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna flip this thing over. We're gonna fill up. We're gonna flip it over like this. We're gonna pour some liquid down in here. We're gonna spray some liquid down in there. And then we're gonna set it like this. And then we'll be able to tell if those valves leak. If we wake up in the morning and we have a wet rag under here, you can see it's, well, we'll put a fresh rag under there. So if we wake up in the morning and this rag right here is wet, then we're gonna know that our valves they're leaking. Because this rag is nice and clean. No spots, see? So we're gonna fill that up. We'll probably stop there for tonight. I'll get those filled up and we'll check it tomorrow. All right, we're back. I'm wearing rubber gloves. We have to hone the cylinder because it's really shiny. Honing the cylinder is not that scary. Right or wrong, I'm gonna show you how I do it. Basically, all we wanna do is make sure, first thing we wanna do is wipe the cylinder out. Make sure there's not a whole bunch of stuff in there. Let me get a rag. Try and get you a clean rag. Make sure there's not a whole bunch of stuff in there from taking it apart. Just get all the extra gunk out that you can. Now I did have a little bit of problem with the hone I found. Fact is, I could use a new one. But what I did, and some of you guys in the comments are probably going to say this is a horrible idea, but I found this hone that I had. Oh, it's stuck right now. Anyway, I don't know if you guys can see in the camera, but this one cracked. The hone part cracked. One of the stones on it cracked and fell off, so I JV welded it back on there just so we could keep going with this video. I did that the other night, and I didn't want to have to go buy one. We're on a limited budget here. But I'm going to angle the camera down so you guys can see how I hone this. Get you some kind of lubricant. Spray it in the cylinder. Some kind of lubricant. WD-40 will work. PB Blast is a good one. Spray it in your cylinder. Get plenty in there, Stuff's not that expensive, so get plenty in there. Take your stones, squeeze them together. I'm going to try and do this by myself, which is a little bit tougher. It's nice to throw it in a vise. If you have the access to one, all you got to do though is get a hold of it good. Don't drop it. And you don't want to stop moving when you do this. So once you start spinning, keep her going. You don't have to go real fast. Consistency is what you want. You want to be consistent. That's probably enough. We don't want to take too much off. And I'll wipe this out a little better, and then I'll see if I can get it in the light good and show you guys what we got. If you look in here now, you'll see how much better that looks. It's not as shiny. Now it's hard to see in the light here. If I could get the angle just right, you might be able to see better, but definitely looks a lot better. That being said, we are going to move on. Definitely looks better than it did. So it's got a few scars and bruises, but I think the cylinder is going to be okay. We're going to get these gaskets cleaned up and get her slid on there. We already cleaned this off the other day. Let's get our rag out of here. We're going to get our bottom gasket on. So first thing we got to do is unwind this. There we go. Now, of course we're going to have to, and it doesn't say either side up, so I don't think it matters. But we do got to run this through here because we want our chain to go through here. Okay, maybe it is a certain way. Let's try it the other way. There we go. Okay. We got her now. Awesome. Fits in there nicely. Get our chain up out of our way a little bit if we can. I don't really like the way it was sitting on the gasket. Maybe we can get it just to stay just like that. Now we got to grab our other guide. The one I took off earlier, remember? I'm going to clean that off a little bit, wipe it down. We got to put some oil in this cylinder. Assembly lube and run it around the cylinder a little bit. Okay, we got our cylinder all oiled up good. Got our top gasket cleaned off pretty good. We might do a little more once we get it in there. First things first, we have got to run this little cable guy right here up through the top of this. This is going to help pull our chain up there. We just got to find our holes. Got to slide our piston over to the middle. See if I can get this first one squeezed together here. Alright guys, we got it in. We got it in. It proved to be a little tough. I had to move the camera, so I ended up shutting it off, and when I got on that side, I wiggled and started tapping and it slid right on, so I didn't film it. But the problem I was having was the rings were coming out too far. I had to squeeze them in and slowly tap and let the cylinder draw them in, and it finally did. So, luckily we did get it on. It was a little tougher than I was hoping. But the plus side is I think we got it on there, and I think we got it on okay. We just pulled the cylinder up, and everything seems to be all right. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and put the cylinder head on. The one we cleaned up earlier. I'm going to wipe some of the soil up. We're going to have to throw our head gasket on. So I guess we could do that right now. Real quick. And look at this head gasket, guys. It's like 3 layers worth. Pretty nice head gasket, I'd say. So let's go ahead and slide that on there right now real quick. You know, I had a 50-50 shot of getting that upside down. And I did it again. So let's flip it around. I should have known the bigger holes. The 2 bigger holes go where the dowel guide pin things are. Basically, you just gotta get her on there even. We got a chain guide there. Put our other chain guide in that goes in. Oh, shoot, I should have put that in first, actually. So, good thing we just thought of that. So, it's okay. I like to do things, 2-3 times, whatever. So, let's slide this back off. Enough to slide this back in. Just like that. Then we'll slide this back on. There. If you watch my channel enough, you know I often do things more than once. Sometimes trial and error. That's okay. Okay, I think that's it for tonight, because I do got to work tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll get this head put on there. We'll set the timing and possibly get to where we're going to fire it up. Rid of this setup, and we got a really cool one. I'm going to show you guys. I'll show you guys that tomorrow when we get back to working on it. So a few things to do. If you watch this far, I appreciate it. Stay tuned. We're going to get this thing fired up. We're going to build a whole new dash for it. We're going to redo that shifter. I want this thing to basically run like a regular golf cart, make it nice and easy. No hard shifts. And if you watched the last video, you saw how hard it was to shift. All right, it's actually the next day. And it's still a little cold in here, so I got my jacket on, but that's okay. We are going to go ahead and get this head. I got to clean off a little bit more of it, looks like. And we're going to get this put on. And we are going to hopefully get this thing fired up. So we're going to try and get the head on tonight. I don't have a lot of time, but I figured I would jump out here and just spend a little bit of time getting some of it together. We may not get it fired up yet tonight. That may happen tomorrow. It'll be in the same video though. By the way, I don't know if I told you guys, but our rag was dry. If you remember, we sprayed stuff down the valves, and it was dry in the morning. I checked it, and it's still dry actually. So that's a good thing. That tells me that our valves should be okay. From what I can tell, looks like we got a little bit of gasket down in here. I want to get that out before we put this motor in. Just clean it out the best we can before we put the motor in. Before we put the head on. That way we want to try and keep all the dirt out you can. Now when you're sliding this on, you do got to push the one guide back in, or it's not going to let it go down. So you got to kind of slide the one on this side. You got to push it in a little. Otherwise it just hits the head and it's no fun. So let's get this down there. Come on, baby. Just got to kind of wiggle it down till you get her all the way down on there. Just like that. We got to make sure we get this cam in the right spot. Now that your cam's sitting in there, you can see the lobes are in the wrong spot and the chain's not actually on. So you're going to have to make some adjustments. Now the reason I didn't put those bolts in yet is because we can spin this cam right now. Being able to spin that cam allows us to go ahead and get it to top dead center without worrying about where this stuff's at. So the next thing we'll have to do is we'll get the head torqued, we'll get it to top dead center, then we're going to have to turn it over. We'll put the top bolt in, we'll put the second bolt in, no big deal. Alright, stay with me. Just stay with me, follow me guys, it's not a big deal. Make sure you keep your washer on there. So we got 3 that go here. There's 2 little studs right here that they go on. They're going to be a little tricky. I don't want to drop them down into the motor. So I'm going to have to be extremely careful when I do these. Okay guys, we got to put this little cam seal in. When I put the cam in, I forgot to put it in. Hoping it won't be too big a deal. But I'm just not sure. Shouldn't be. Nope, just slides right in the end here. Slides right down into place. There we go. Okay, no biggie. Right here. It's got a groove in the head right there. On each side. It's got a little beveled area. And then it just slides on the end of the cam. Not a big deal. Just pick your cam up, slide it right in there. So, no big deal. I'm surprised I forgot it though. But hey, you know that stuff happens. Better to notice it now than after this whole thing's together. Okay guys, we got the torque wrench. We got it set for 20 foot-pounds. And that's to do the Allen head ones. The 3 Allen heads. And then these 3 are, I believe, about 30. So we're going to start with the Allen head bolts. So basically, all you're going to have to do, put it on there. You're going to turn until it beeps. Except for it shut off on me. So I'm going to have to turn it back on. It's still set at 20. So good news there. Now I might just snug them all a little bit more. It's right there. Get them all close first, then we'll start torquing them. it. That's it. Oh, we just made it on that one. All right. Now I like to double check them. It went just a hair over, but it's not going to be a big deal. Now we're going to go ahead and get these other ones torqued. These were the ones I was talking about earlier that were hard to put in there. And then we got 2 more here. Those ones get torqued a little bit tighter. They're 33, I believe. I'm going to double check that on the old interweb. Okay, now we're going to go across. Okay, now that we got it all torqued, we're going to have to get this thing to top dead center. And the way you do that is fairly simple. There's a hole right here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. There's a line in there. We have to line that up with a little line on the side of the block. And I am going to use a bore scope to do that because I don't want to have to pull this motor out. So let me show you here. We're going to use this thing. We're going to use this guy right here to do that. So what we're going to do is get the end of it, which right now is pointing off in no man's land. So we'll get the end of it. We'll look in here like this. And then we are going to turn it over slowly until we get it lined up. I'm gonna go ahead and get it lined up and then I'll show you guys. All right guys, we found our mark. I don't know how good this is gonna show up in the camera. It's got a little bit of a glare, but you can see that line is lined up with our line. And it's a little tricky to get that right on, but I think we got it. So now we can move on. We're gonna have to straighten our cam out. We're gonna have to spin it so it's facing down. Now we gotta take our chain off of there and line it up. So we got our chain all lined up now. And the way you do that, there's 2 little lines right on each side of your cam. And they got to line up with the top of the thing, the cylinder head, I guess you'd call it here. So they're going to line up at the top of the cylinder head. It's hard to see the little lines, but they are there. They don't show up real good in the camera. The next thing we need to do is I want to get rid of this old shifter. And let me show you what I'm talking about. The shifter they made is this guy right here, and it's going through the top of the head. So we're going to go ahead and cut that off. I don't want that. We're going to do a new shifter, and we'll talk more about that later. I think we're just going to try and grind the welds off and knock the washer off and pound that back through. That's the goal. That shifter rod pulled out of there. We've got to put our exhaust back on, our carburetor back on. We're almost ready to fire this thing up. I think we'll start with this exhaust. And we got our exhaust all, got the exhaust all hooked up. We got to get the spark plug back in. We got to get our carburetor on. And we are getting really close to seeing if this thing will run. Our spark plug back on her. Now our carburetor. Gotta get that to stay back up there where I had it. Pushes in just like that. We just gotta grab us a Phillips so we get that tightened up. And I don't think that's gonna go anywhere. Get this thing out of there. Don't need it anymore. gotta put our fuel line on. Okay. Should be 1, 2, 3. Boom, just like that. Tighten it up. You can just go ahead and call me No Spill Phil. Or Philip. Or Bill, No Spill Bill. How about that one? Got to put these caps back in, and then I believe we can throw a battery in this and we're ready to fire it up. So we'll go ahead and get those caps back in there and we'll get this baby fired up. Okay everybody, we went ahead and fired it up for just 1 second, and now we're going to show you what we got. So hopefully it'll fire up again just as easy as it did. Now we got to let it, you know, you're gonna have to let the rings set, but so far I don't see any smoke like before, which is nice. Why don't you show them the exhaust, that it's not smoking? I think we might have cured the smoking problem. Now what I want to do next, I had a few things I told you guys I would show you. Let me get this shut down. I had a few cool things I was going to show you. Told you earlier I was going to show you this stuff. Let me grab those things real quick, and we'll go over some of the other things we're going to do that's going to be pretty awesome. The first really cool thing I got to show you has nothing to do with it running, but this is going to be our stereo. It's going to go right here. We're going to build a dash for this thing. You can watch movies on this. It's AM, FM. It'll connect right to your phone. That's going to be pretty sweet. Also, we have this awesome switch panel, which is going to be our power, our start button, and then 2 accessories. Maybe we'll do one for that radio I just showed you guys. That is going to go, you know, somewhere, I don't know where yet exactly. Maybe on this side, so the passengers can't mess with it when you're trying to drive. You don't want any, you know, backseat drivers, if you will, or side seat drivers. I don't know, but maybe we'll put it over here. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Decisions. I'm just glad to see this thing's running. I didn't see any smoke coming out that exhaust. That to me is super exciting. Another cool thing I got to show you guys. Now this is part of making it run. We got a couple of these. This is going to help with our shifter build. We got 2 of these. We got a rod. We're going to run it across here, inside, down below. We're going to have a shifter that comes up here, and that's how we're going to shift it. I think that's going to be a way better setup. We're going to do that in the next video. I want to thank everybody for watching. We appreciate it, especially if you've watched this long. If you haven't subscribed and you like this stuff, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate each and every one of you. We would take this thing for a ride, but it's like, we're in Michigan and it is super cold right now. So as soon as it doesn't get super cold, as soon as it warms up just a little bit, we're gonna zip this baby around the yard, hopefully in our next video. Stay tuned.